My name is Serena, 34 years old, and I thought I had everything a woman could want. Living in our beautiful colonial home in Connecticut with Marcus, my husband of 8 years' life, seemed perfect. 3 months ago, my younger sister Emma moved in after her devastating breakup. Marcus started working late around the same time, but I trusted him completely. After all, family helps family, right? Something felt different, though, small changes in his behavior I couldn't quite place. Before I share what destroyed my perfect world, let me know where you're watching from, and please subscribe to hear how I discovered the truth hiding in plain sight. Looking back now, I realize how blessed my life appeared just 6 months ago. As a marketing director at a Fortune 500 company, I had worked hard to build my career from the ground up. Meeting Marcus at our college reunion 10 years ago felt like destiny unfolding. He was standing by the bar, that confident smile lighting up his face when our eyes met across the crowded room. We talked until 3 in the morning that night, discovering we both lived in Connecticut, both loved hiking, and both dreamed of raising a family in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Our home in Westport represented everything we had built together. 4 bedrooms, white colonial style with black shutters, a wraparound porch where we spent summer evenings sipping wine and planning our future. Marcus thrived as a financial analyst at a prestigious investment firm downtown. His analytical mind balanced my creative spirit perfectly. We had our routines that made life feel secure and predictable. Sunday mornings at the farmer's market, where Marcus would buy me fresh sunflowers while I picked out organic vegetables for the week. Thursday date nights were sacred no matter how busy work got. Every August, we escaped to Cape Cod, staying at the same bed and breakfast where we had spent our first anniversary. 2 years ago, we started trying for a baby. Month after month of disappointment led us to fertility specialists. The tests, the procedures, the hormone shots that left me emotional and exhausted. Marcus never complained, holding my hand through every appointment, wiping my tears when another month passed without success. The spare bedroom already had paint samples taped to the walls, soft yellows and greens we had chosen together for our future nursery. When Emma called 4 months ago, sobbing about her broken engagement, I didn't hesitate. My baby sister needed me. At 29, Emma had always been the free spirit of our family. A former professional ballet dancer, she had retired after a knee injury and reinvented herself as a yoga instructor. Her fiancé, a surgeon she had dated for 3 years, had supposedly cheated with a nurse from his hospital. Emma arrived at our doorstep with 6 suitcases and red-rimmed eyes collapsing into my arms. Marcus welcomed her warmly, carrying her bags upstairs to our guest room, the one across from our bedroom. He even took a day off work to help her move in properly, assembling new furniture and hanging her photos on the walls. Those first weeks felt like college again, the three of us cooking dinner together. Emma teaching us yoga poses in the living room, Marcus making us laugh with his terrible attempts at downward dog. Emma brought energy back into our home. We would stay up late drinking wine and watching romantic comedies while Marcus worked in his home office. She would make us green smoothies every morning, insisting they would help with my fertility. On weekends, she joined our farmers' market trips, charming the vendors with her bright smile and genuine interest in their organic farming methods. I remember one evening in particular, about 3 months after Emma moved in. We were all in the kitchen, Marcus grilling steaks on our indoor grill, while Emma and I prepared salad. She was telling us about a new private client who wanted intensive yoga therapy, and Marcus was offering business advice about setting competitive rates. The golden evening light streamed through our kitchen windows, and I felt this overwhelming gratitude for my life, my successful career, my devoted husband, my beloved sister safe under our roof. The fertility clinic had just started us on a new treatment protocol that showed promise. Dr. Morrison seemed optimistic about our chances, scheduling us for twice-weekly appointments. Marcus had rearranged his entire work schedule to accommodate them, never missing a single one. He would hold my hand during the uncomfortable procedures, whispering jokes to distract me from the pain. Afterward, we would stop at our favorite cafe, sharing a chocolate croissant while dreaming about baby names. The nursery plans were becoming more concrete. Marcus had bookmarked cribs online, sending me links during his lunch breaks with messages like, "This one matches the dresser you loved," or "Safety rating is highest for this model." We spent entire weekends at baby stores testing strollers and debating the merits of different car seats. Emma would sometimes join us cooing over tiny outfits and suggesting we were getting ahead of ourselves, but her eyes were warm with excitement for our future as parents. Life felt full and promising, like we were on the cusp of everything we had ever wanted. The changes started so gradually that I almost missed them entirely. Marcus's promotion 3 months ago should have been pure celebration. Senior Vice President of Strategic Investments, a title he had worked toward for 5 years. The salary increase meant we could afford the more expensive fertility treatments, maybe even consider adoption if needed. We celebrated with champagne that night, Emma raising her glass to toast his success, while I felt nothing but pride for my ambitious husband. Within 2 weeks, everything shifted. Client dinners became a regular occurrence, sometimes 3 nights a week. Marcus would text me around 4 in the afternoon, apologies filled with corporate jargon about unexpected presentations and urgent quarterly reports. Our sacred Thursday date night started falling victim to his schedule. "Sorry, honey. The Tokyo markets are opening and I need to monitor this merger situation." I understood, of course I did. This promotion meant everything to our future. Emma stepped into the gaps Marcus left behind. When he missed dinner, she would set up elaborate movie nights complete with popcorn and wine. She taught me advanced yoga sequences, insisting the stress reduction would help with conception. We grew closer than we had been since childhood, sharing secrets and dreams, while Marcus's side of the bed remained empty until after midnight. The first real red flag appeared on our wedding anniversary. Marcus had made reservations at the French restaurant where we got engaged. I bought a new dress, black silk that hugged my curves, had my hair professionally styled. At 5:30, as I was applying lipstick, his call came. A client emergency. Millions at stake, he would make it up to me. Emma found me crying in our bedroom, mascara running down my cheeks. She held me while I sobbed, then convinced me to order Thai food and watch comedy specials until I could laugh again. Marcus started coming home with a different scent clinging to his clothes. Not perfume exactly, but something floral and unfamiliar. When I mentioned it, he laughed, explaining the office had switched to a new cleaning service that used lavender-scented products. His explanation made perfect sense, yet something twisted in my stomach when he kissed my forehead and headed straight to shower. Receipts began appearing in his jacket pockets when I did laundry. Expensive restaurants I had never been to, always lunch meetings with clients, he assured me when I asked. The wine bar charges at 2 in the afternoon seemed excessive for business meetings, but Marcus had always said building client relationships required generous entertainment budgets. Emma underwent her own transformation during this period. The yoga instructor who had arrived at our door in worn leggings and oversized sweaters started wearing designer athletic wear. Lululemon, everything fresh manicures every 2 weeks, regular appointments at the high-end salon downtown. She credited her new private clients wealthy women who paid premium rates for exclusive sessions. Her schedule became mysteriously busy in the evenings, often leaving right after dinner for classes that ran until 10 or 11. My best friend Lauren noticed before I did. Over coffee one Saturday, while Marcus golfed with clients and Emma taught a workshop, Lauren grabbed my hand across the table. Her green eyes were serious, concerned in a way that made my chest tighten. She asked if everything was okay at home, mentioned that Marcus seemed different lately, more distant at the company barbecue we had all attended. When she suggested I should trust my instincts about the late nights, I actually got angry. Defensive heat rose in my chest as I insisted my husband was simply dedicated to providing for our future family. Lauren backed off, but her expression remained troubled as we parted ways. The physical changes in Marcus became impossible to ignore. He joined an expensive gym near his office, arriving home with damp hair from showering there. His wardrobe evolved from conservative suits to fitted styles that showed off his newly toned physique. He started using teeth-whitening strips, bought cologne I didn't recognize, began styling his hair differently. When I complimented these changes, trying to reconnect with my increasingly distant husband, he would smile distractedly and change the subject. One night I found him doing push-ups in our bedroom at 11:30, counting under his breath with intense focus. When I asked about this sudden fitness obsession, he mentioned the bank was organizing a corporate triathlon team, wanting executives to project vitality and energy. Everything had an explanation, each change justified by career advancement or company culture. Emma and Marcus developed an odd dynamic during family dinners. They became excessively polite to each other, careful not to pass dishes at the same time, never quite making eye contact. Their conversations felt rehearsed, talking through me rather than to each other. If Marcus complimented Emma's cooking, he would say, "Tell your sister this pasta is excellent," while she sat right there. Emma would respond similarly, ask Marcus if he wants more salad, as if he couldn't hear her directly. The missed fertility appointment started 6 weeks ago. First an emergency conference call he couldn't reschedule, then a client flying in unexpectedly from Hong Kong. Each time Marcus apologized, profusely, promised to make the next one, sent flowers to my office with notes about being the luckiest husband alive. I went alone, lying on the examination table while nurses asked where my husband was, their eyes full of pity I pretended not to see. The loneliness crept in gradually, like fog rolling over the harbor. Despite having my sister in the same house, I felt more isolated than ever. Marcus would come home exhausted, pecking my cheek before disappearing into his office. Emma fluttered in and out like a ghost, always rushing to or from somewhere important. I started going to bed alone, staring at the ceiling while waiting for the garage door to signal Marcus's arrival. Some nights I would hear movement in the house and wonder if it was Emma coming home or Marcus getting water from the kitchen. The sounds of my own home became foreign to me. Footsteps I couldn't identify, doors closing softly in the darkness. I began taking sleeping pills, just to stop my mind from racing through possibilities I wasn't ready to confront. That Tuesday afternoon changed everything. A migraine had been building since morning, the kind that made fluorescent office lights feel like needles in my brain. My assistant took one look at my pale face and insisted I go home. The drive from downtown Hartford to Westport usually took 45 minutes, but I made it in 30, desperate for darkness and silence. Our house stood peaceful in the afternoon sun. Marcus's car absent from the garage as expected. He had mentioned a client meeting that would run until evening. Emma's car was gone too, supposedly teaching a private session at her studio. The house felt blessedly quiet as I dropped my purse in the foyer and headed upstairs. The master bedroom curtains were drawn, creating the cave-like darkness I craved. I changed into pajamas and remembered Emma kept a heating pad that worked wonders for her dance injuries. Her room door stood slightly open, afternoon light streaming through her windows. I pushed inside, scanning her neat space for the heating pad she usually kept on her dresser. The wallet sat on her nightstand like a bomb waiting to explode. Marcus's brown leather wallet, the one I had given him for our 5th anniversary, hand-stitched with his initials in gold. It lay open, credit cards visible, his driver's license photo staring up at the ceiling. My knees went weak, forcing me to grip the doorframe for support. The room spun as my mind tried to process what I was seeing. I moved toward it in slow motion, each step feeling like walking through quicksand. My hands shook as I picked it up, needing to confirm what my eyes already knew. His Wells Fargo debit card, his American Express, the photo strip from our honeymoon in Bermuda, tucked behind his insurance card. This was definitely his wallet, the one he carried every single day. Movie tickets fell out when I lifted it. Today's date, a showing at 2:15 for some romantic comedy I had mentioned wanting to see. The timestamp burned into my retinas. 2:15, when he was supposedly in a critical board meeting. My stomach churned as more receipts revealed themselves. Lunch at the Italian restaurant downtown yesterday, a bill for 2. Coffee from the boutique cafe near Emma's yoga studio this morning, 2 lattes, 2 pastries. The garage door rumbled open downstairs. Panic shot through my body like electricity. I shoved the wallet back exactly as I found it, movie tickets scattered on the nightstand. My feet flew across the hallway, diving into our bed, just as I heard Marcus's footsteps on the stairs. I forced my breathing to slow, closed my eyes, pretended to be deep in migraine-induced sleep. The bedroom door creaked open. Marcus's presence filled the space, his breathing slightly heavy as if he had rushed. He moved quietly, considerate of my supposed sleep, hanging his jacket in the closet. The bed dipped as he sat on his side, his hand briefly touching my shoulder before pulling away. He smelled wrong again, that floral scent stronger now mixed with something else. Emma's essential oils, the lavender and ylang-ylang blend she used after yoga. An hour passed before Emma came home. Her humming drifted up the stairs, a light melody I recognized from the ballet she performed in college. Happy humming, the kind that bubbled up when joy couldn't be contained. Cabinet doors opened and closed in the kitchen as she prepared dinner, apparently expecting to cook for 3, as if nothing had shattered my entire world. Marcus eventually went downstairs, claiming he needed to check emails in his office. I listened to their muffled voices through the floor. Careful conversation that sounded nothing like the easy family dynamic we used to share. When I couldn't avoid it any longer, I went downstairs, claiming the migraine had eased enough for me to join them for dinner. We sat at our round dining table, the one Marcus and I had bought at an estate sale our first year of marriage. Emma served chicken stir-fry, chattering about a new client interested in prenatal yoga. Marcus responded appropriately, asking questions about the business opportunity, while cutting his chicken into precise small pieces. I watched them like a scientist observing specimens, cataloging every micro-expression, every careful gesture. They never looked directly at each other. Not once during the entire meal. Emma passed the soy sauce to the middle of the table rather than handing it to Marcus when he asked. He thanked the air between us rather than meeting her eyes. When their hands accidentally touched, reaching for the water pitcher, both jerked back as if burned. Emma laughed too hard at Marcus's work story about a junior analyst's mistake. The laugh was high nervous, lasting a beat too long before she covered it by taking a large sip of wine. Marcus's jaw tightened when Emma mentioned needing to leave early tomorrow morning for a special training session. His fingers drummed against the table, a tell I recognized from 8 years of marriage that meant he was upset but trying to hide it. Every bite of food felt like sawdust in my mouth. I forced myself to participate, asking about Marcus's day, complimenting Emma's cooking, playing the role of oblivious wife and sister. Inside, my mind was spinning through every interaction from the past months, recontextualizing every late night, every excuse, every strange moment that I had explained away. That night, Marcus fell asleep within minutes, exhausted from his brutal day at the office. I lay beside him, studying his face in the moonlight streaming through our curtains. This was the man I had promised to love forever, who had held my hand through fertility treatments, who had planned our future children's names. Now he was a stranger wearing my husband's face, his secrets written in the faint lipstick smudge on his collar that he thought I wouldn't notice. My mind drifted to Emma sleeping across the hall in the room we had decorated together. My baby sister who had cried on my shoulder about betrayal, who had accepted my hospitality while apparently stealing my husband. Childhood memories flooded back, previously innocent moments taking on new meaning. Emma at 16 trying on my prom dress while I was in the shower pretending she hadn't when I caught her. Emma at 21, dating my college ex-boyfriend 2 weeks after we broke up, insisting she had no idea we had history. Emma at my wedding catching the bouquet and joking that she wanted everything I had, the exact same happiness. The pattern had always been there, hidden beneath sisterly love and family loyalty. Sleep never came that night. I watched the clock tick through the hours, planning my next moves, while Marcus snored softly beside me, unaware that his carefully constructed deception was already crumbling. The next morning I became someone I didn't recognize, a woman with sharp edges and calculated movements. Marcus left for work at 7:30, kissing my forehead with lips that had probably kissed my sister hours before. Emma floated through the kitchen in her yoga clothes, mentioning a full day of classes before disappearing in a cloud of lavender perfume. The moment both cars left the driveway, I transformed into a detective. Marcus's phone sat charging on his nightstand while he showered. I had watched him enter his passcode enough times to memorize it, but when I tried, it didn't work. Changed recently, another red flag adding to my growing collection. His laptop required a fingerprint his tablet was missing entirely. Every digital avenue blocked, forcing me to get creative. During my lunch break, I drove to the electronics store and purchased a GPS tracker small enough to hide beneath a car. The teenager who sold it to me didn't ask questions, probably assuming I was tracking a teenage driver. Back in the office parking garage, I attached it to Marcus's BMW, my hands steady despite my racing heart. The app on my phone immediately showed his location at the investment firm exactly where he should be. 3 days of tracking revealed the truth in devastating detail. Tuesday afternoon, his car sat in the parking lot of Emma's yoga studio for 3 hours during what was supposedly an important client presentation. Wednesday, it appeared at the Marriott downtown from noon until 2, the same hotel where we had celebrated our 5th anniversary. Thursday morning, before he supposedly left for work early, his car spent an hour at the coffee shop 2 blocks from Emma's studio. That Thursday afternoon, I followed them. Calling in sick for the 2nd time this month, I parked across from the Marriott and waited. Marcus's BMW arrived first, then Emma's white Honda 10 minutes later, as if they were trying to be discreet. They met at the entrance, his hand on her lower back as they walked inside, the gesture so familiar it made bile rise in my throat. I sat in that parking lot for 2 hours and 17 minutes documenting everything on my phone. Photos of their cars, screenshots of the tracker showing how long they stayed, notes about the way they emerged separately. But Emma's hair was messed up, despite having been in a perfect bun when she arrived. Evidence for the war I was preparing to wage. My friend Sarah from book club turned out to be a blessing in disguise. When she went through her own divorce 3 years ago, she had used a brilliant attorney who also happened to employ private investigators. One phone call and I had an appointment for the next morning. Patricia Winters Esquire looked like someone's grandmother, but had the reputation of a shark in family court. The investigator Patricia recommended was thorough beyond my wildest expectations. Within 1 week, he had compiled a dossier that revealed the full scope of the betrayal. Photos of Marcus and Emma kissing in his car behind a defunct shopping center. Credit card records showing jewelry purchases from Tiffany that I had never received but that now adorned Emma's wrists and neck. Hotel receipts going back 2.5 months, always midday, always paid with cash. Marcus withdrew from our joint savings. The most damaging evidence came from an unexpected source. The fertility clinic receptionist Monica, who had always been kind to me during our appointments. When I called asking about appointment records for insurance purposes, she hesitated before asking if she could speak freely. Marcus had called 6 weeks ago to cancel all future appointments, stating they were taking a break from treatments. He had specifically asked them not to contact me, claiming I was too emotional about the subject. Emma's social media provided another layer of proof. Her Instagram, which I had unfollowed months ago to avoid pregnancy announcements from friends, told its own story. Photos at restaurants where Marcus's reflection appeared in windows. A new tennis bracelet in a photo dated 3 weeks ago with the caption, "Feeling blessed." A sunset photo from the beach in Stamford, where Marcus's shadow stretched beside hers in the sand, posted on a day he was supposedly at a conference in Boston. The private investigator also uncovered something that changed everything about my strategy. Marcus had a family trust fund he had never disclosed worth approximately $3 million that he would inherit when he turned 40 in 2 years. Under Connecticut law, inheritances remained separate property unless commingled with marital assets. But Marcus had made a crucial mistake using trust distributions to pay our mortgage several times, creating a paper trail that my attorney assured me would make it marital property. Each night I returned home and performed my role flawlessly. I cooked dinner, asked about their days, discussed weekend plans, as if my heart wasn't shattered into 1,000 pieces. The hardest moments were when Marcus would pull me close in bed, whispering that he loved me, while his phone buzzed with what I now knew were messages from Emma. I would smile in the darkness, counting down the days until I could destroy their fantasy. A week into my investigation, I broke down completely. Parked outside the fertility clinic after confirming Marcus's cancellation, I sobbed until my ribs ached. 5 years of trying for a baby. Countless procedures, hormones that wreaked havoc on my body, and he had unilaterally decided we were done. The cruelty of it, the casual dismissal of our dreams, hurt almost more than the affair itself. My work suffered during this period, though I managed to hide it well enough. Presentations ran on autopilot, meetings became a blur of pretending to care about marketing strategies, while my personal life imploded. Only my assistant noticed something was wrong, quietly rescheduling non-essential meetings and bringing me coffee without being asked. I would later give her a massive bonus for her discretion and kindness during my darkest period. The evidence folder grew thicker each day. Bank statements showing suspicious cash withdrawals. Text message records from our phone plan showing hundreds of messages between their numbers. The private investigator even managed to get footage from a security camera at the hotel, showing them entering together on multiple occasions. By the end of 2 weeks, I had enough evidence to destroy them both legally and socially. Friday night arrived with the weight of destiny. I had planned every detail, meticulously choosing the most expensive restaurant in Westport, the one where Marcus had proposed to me 9 years ago. The reservation was for 3 under my name at 8 o'clock, when I knew the restaurant would be packed with the social elite of our community. Several members of Marcus's firm regularly dined there on Fridays, as did Emma's wealthy yoga clients. That morning I acted perfectly normal, kissing Marcus goodbye and wishing Emma luck with her classes. The moment they left, I drove to my attorney's office and signed the divorce papers Patricia had prepared. Connecticut allowed for at-fault divorce based on adultery, and we had more than enough evidence. The papers would be served to Marcus on Monday at his office, maximizing his humiliation among colleagues. I spent the afternoon at the salon getting my hair styled in elegant waves and my makeup done professionally. The red dress I chose hugged every curve the one Marcus had bought me in Paris 2 years ago for our anniversary. 4-inch heels that made my legs look endless diamond earrings that caught the light with every movement. If I was going to destroy my marriage publicly, I would look absolutely devastating while doing it. At 7:45, I texted them both separately. To Marcus, I said Patricia from his office had called about celebrating his promotion properly, insisting we all go to dinner. To Emma, I mentioned wanting to celebrate her new beginning and success with her private clients. Both responded enthusiastically, neither knowing the other would be there until they arrived at the table where I sat sipping champagne, a manila folder resting beside my plate. Marcus arrived first, looking handsome in his navy suit, his face lighting up when he saw me, before confusion crossed his features at the 3-place settings. Emma entered 5 minutes later, radiant in a dress I recognized as new and expensive, probably purchased with money from her mysterious private clients. The blood drained from both their faces simultaneously when they saw each other. I stood gracefully air-kissing them both, gesturing for them to sit on either side of me. The waiter approached immediately, and I ordered a bottle of Dom Perignon, mentioning we were celebrating new beginnings. Marcus's hand trembled slightly as he unfolded his napkin. Emma kept glancing between us, her yoga breathing audible as she tried to maintain composure. When the champagne arrived, I raised my glass, smiling brilliantly at the packed restaurant around us. Several people from Marcus's firm were watching along with 2 of Emma's wealthy clients I recognized. My voice carried clearly as I made my toast, thanking them both for showing me that honesty truly is the most important foundation of any relationship. The moment our glasses touched, I slid the manila folder across the table. Marcus reached for it first, his face going from confused to horrified as he saw the first photo of him and Emma kissing in his car. Emma gasped, her hand flying to her mouth as more photos spilled out. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, the investigator's report detailing their affair with timestamps and locations. Marcus's fork clattered to his plate, the sound drawing more attention from nearby tables. His voice came out strangled, barely a whisper, asking how long I had known. 2 weeks, I replied, calmly buttering a piece of bread as if we were discussing the weather. 2 weeks of gathering evidence while they thought they were so clever, sneaking around behind my back. Emma tried denial first, stammering that it wasn't what it looked like, that the photos were misleading. I pulled out my phone, showing her the video of them entering the hotel together, her hand in his, both of them laughing at something. The timestamp showed Tuesday at 2:15 when Marcus was supposedly in meetings and Emma was teaching a private class. Marcus shifted to pathetic excuses, the words tumbling out in desperate spurts. It just happened they never meant for it. The pressure of work and the fertility treatments had driven him to make a mistake. A mistake that happened repeatedly for 2.5 months. I pointed out, showing the hotel receipts dating back to early September. Then Emma delivered the cruelest blow, her voice rising defensively as other diners openly stared. She claimed I couldn't give Marcus what he needed, that I was so focused on having a baby that I had forgotten to be a wife. The fertility issues were my fault, she said, my body failing to do the one thing women were designed to do. I laughed then, a genuine laugh that seemed to startle them both. Setting down my champagne glass, I informed them that Dr. Morrison had called with the test results last week. The fertility issues were entirely on Marcus's side: low sperm count and poor motility. I was perfectly healthy, perfectly capable of carrying a child with the right partner or donor sperm. Marcus went white at this revelation. He had never followed up with the doctor about his results, too proud or scared to face the truth. Emma's face crumbled as she realized he had been lying to her too, probably promising her children he couldn't deliver the same empty promises he had made to me. I revealed more truths methodically, each one a calculated strike. The forensic accountant I had hired found Marcus had hidden assets, including a trust fund worth $3 million. Emma gasped, clearly unaware of this money. The prenuptial agreement Marcus had forgotten about, signed in wine-drunk love 9 years ago, protecting my inherited assets but not his. The fact that using trust money for our mortgage had contaminated it as marital property. Emma's confession came in broken sobs that drew judgment from every corner of the restaurant. She had been in love with Marcus since our wedding, watching him place the ring on my finger while planning how to take him for herself. The broken engagement was fake, her ex-boyfriend, a fiction created to gain entry to our home. She had targeted him deliberately, using information I had shared about our struggles to position herself as the easier, uncomplicated option. Marcus turned on Emma, then his voice harsh as he accused her of seducing him, of manipulating a vulnerable man dealing with fertility stress. They argued across me as if I wasn't there, each blaming the other, while the restaurant watched our marriage implode in real time. Someone was definitely recording on their phone, probably posting to social media as we spoke. I stood up smoothly, placing my napkin on the table and gathering my purse. Both of them looked up at me, Marcus with panic, Emma with tears streaming down her carefully made-up face. My final words were calm and clear, carrying across the silent restaurant. They deserved each other, two liars who had destroyed a family for afternoon hotel encounters. The divorce papers would be served Monday. Emma had 24 hours to remove her belongings from my home. As I walked through the restaurant, heads turned to follow my progress. Mrs. Patterson from the country club gave me a subtle nod of approval. James from Marcus's firm looked disgusted as he stared at my soon-to-be ex-husband. The maitre d' held the door for me, whispering that the meal would be comped and expressing his admiration for my dignity. The last thing I heard as the door closed was Marcus shouting my name and Emma sobbing hysterically. The valet had already brought my car around, probably witnessing enough drama to last him months. I drove home alone, windows down, feeling lighter with every mile between me and the wreckage of my old life. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of decisive action. I arrived home from the restaurant to find 17 missed calls from Marcus and 23 from Emma. Without listening to a single voicemail, I blocked both numbers and got to work. Marcus's belongings went into garbage bags and boxes, 8 years of accumulated life together sorted with clinical efficiency. His expensive suits, his watches, the golf clubs, he rarely used, everything piled in the garage. Emma tried to enter the house at midnight, her key turning uselessly in the locks I had changed that afternoon while they were both out. She pounded on the door, wailing apologies through the wood, begging me to understand that she never meant to hurt me. I sat in the living room with a glass of wine and my laptop, finalizing the separation of our joint accounts, while she eventually gave up and drove away. Saturday morning brought Marcus to the doorstep with a locksmith demanding entry to his home. I calmly presented the legal documents Patricia had expedited, showing that as the wronged party in an at-fault divorce state, with evidence of adultery, I had the right to exclusive use of the marital home. The locksmith took one look at the legal papers and walked away, wanting no part of our drama. By Monday morning, my life had shifted into an entirely new gear. The CEO position I had secretly interviewed for 3 months ago came through with perfect timing. The board had been impressed by my strategic vision and steady leadership, offering me the role at our competitor firm with a salary that dwarfed what Marcus made even with his promotion. I accepted immediately, giving 2 weeks' notice at my current position. Marcus discovered the divorce papers when a process server walked into his Monday morning meeting with the board of directors. The humiliation was complete and public, exactly as I had planned. By noon, his affair with Emma was the talk of the financial district. By close of business, he had been placed on administrative leave pending an ethics review, since Emma had technically been a household member, which violated the company's moral conduct clause. Emma's carefully built yoga empire crumbled within days. Her wealthy clients, many of whom knew me socially, canceled their private sessions en masse. The studio where she taught dropped her classes after several students complained they felt uncomfortable. Her Instagram followers noticed the connection when someone posted photos from the restaurant scene, and the comments section became a battlefield of judgment and condemnation. My parents took my side without hesitation. Dad, who had walked Emma down the aisle at her fake wedding planning sessions with her fictional fiancé, felt personally betrayed. He cut off the financial support he had been providing her since her ballet career ended, closing the credit card he paid for and removing her from his will. Mom went further, calling every relative to share the truth before Emma could spin her own version. Within a week, Emma was persona non grata at every family gathering for the foreseeable future. The house sold within 2 weeks to a cash buyer, the market in Westport being hot for colonial homes. I used my portion of the proceeds to purchase a stunning penthouse in downtown Hartford, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a fresh start in steel and glass. The minimalist design felt cleansing after years of accumulated suburban life, each room a blank canvas for my new beginning. Marcus fought the divorce, initially hiring an aggressive attorney who tried to claim the evidence was obtained illegally. Patricia destroyed that argument in court, presenting everything with perfect legal precedent. The prenuptial agreement held up under scrutiny. The trust fund contamination was proven beyond doubt. The adultery evidence was overwhelming and admissible. Within a month, Marcus and Emma's relationship began showing cracks. He blamed her for ruining his career. She accused him of lying about his fertility and financial situation. They moved into a cramped apartment together after both lost their individual housing, the stress of forced cohabitation, revealing their true characters. The passion that had seemed so urgent in stolen afternoon moments withered under the harsh light of reality and consequence. My new position as CEO exceeded every expectation. The company embraced my leadership style, implementing my strategies with enthusiasm. Revenue increased 15% in my first quarter. The board approved every initiative I proposed. The salary and stock options set me up for financial independence regardless of the divorce settlement. Therapy became my twice-weekly sanctuary, a place to process the betrayal and rebuild my sense of self. Dr. Catherine helped me understand that Marcus and Emma's actions reflected their character, not my worth. We worked through trust issues, abandonment fears, and the complicated grief of losing both a husband and sister simultaneously. Slowly, I began to heal. A support group for betrayed spouses became an unexpected source of friendship. We met Thursday evenings in a community center, sharing stories and strategies for moving forward. Several members became close friends, people who understood the unique pain of intimate betrayal. We celebrated each other's victories, small and large, from surviving first holidays alone to finalizing divorce papers. 6 months after that restaurant confrontation, I made the decision that changed everything. Sitting in the fertility clinic where Marcus and I had spent so many hopeful hours, I met with Dr. Morrison about single motherhood. The technology existed, donor sperm was available, and my body was perfectly capable of carrying a child. The nurse who scheduled my appointment smiled warmly, mentioning she had heard about my situation and admired my courage. The IVF process as a single woman felt empowering rather than desperate. I chose my donor carefully, a tall professor with multiple degrees and a family history of good health. Each injection, each appointment, each ultrasound belonged entirely to me. No one else's opinion mattered, no one could cancel my dreams without my permission. 3 months into my CEO role at a charity fundraiser for the Children's Hospital, I met David. He was a pediatric surgeon, divorced himself after his ex-wife's gambling addiction destroyed their marriage. We bonded over our similar experiences, laughing about the absurdity of thinking we knew someone after years together. He was kind without being weak, successful, without being arrogant, interested, without being pushy. David understood my trust issues because he shared them. We took things impossibly slow 3 months of coffee dates before our first real dinner. He never pressed for more than I could give, respecting my boundaries, while gently showing me that trustworthy men existed. When I finally told him about the IVF journey I had started, he offered to drive me to appointments, no strings attached. 1 year later, my life bore no resemblance to the suburban fantasy I once cherished. My penthouse had become a haven of peace and success. The corner office with its panoramic city views represented everything I had achieved on my own merit. My body, swollen with 7 months of pregnancy, had never felt more powerful or purposeful. The baby girl growing inside me would know her worth from birth, raised by a mother who had learned to value herself above all else. Emma had written me a letter that arrived last month, 6 pages of apologies and explanations that I read once before shredding. She was working as a receptionist at a gym, living with roommates at 30. Marcus having left her for another woman he met on a dating app. She begged for forgiveness, for a chance to be an aunt to my baby, for the sisterly bond we once shared. The letter went unanswered, her number still blocked, that chapter permanently closed. Marcus's downfall had been swift and complete. The financial firm fired him after the ethics review revealed he had been using company resources for his affair. His reputation in the industry was destroyed, forcing him to take a junior position at a small firm in New Jersey. The last I heard through mutual acquaintances, he was living in a studio apartment dating a string of younger women who lost interest once they realized he had no money and couldn't father children. My parents had become incredible sources of support, visiting weekly to help prepare the nursery. Dad assembled the crib with tears in his eyes, saying this grandchild would be even more special because she was so wanted, so fought for. Mom painted a mural on the nursery wall, wildflowers reaching toward a painted sun, nothing like the neutral colors Marcus and I had once chosen together. David and I had progressed to an actual relationship, though we took nothing for granted. He accompanied me to prenatal appointments when his surgery schedule allowed his medical knowledge, reassuring during moments of anxiety. He never presumed any role with my daughter, understanding she was my miracle alone, but his presence had become a comfort I hadn't expected to allow myself again. The baby shower my friends threw was a celebration of single motherhood by choice. No painful couples games, no assumptions about a father's involvement, just pure joy for the life I was creating on my own terms. The mountain of gifts reflected the village that had formed around me, people who had watched me rise from betrayal to triumph. My success as CEO continued to exceed all projections. The board approved my proposal for a company daycare, ensuring I could balance motherhood with my career. The maternity leave package I negotiated set a new standard in our industry. Young women in the company looked at me as proof that you could have everything, just perhaps not in the way fairy tales suggested. Lauren, my best friend, who had seen the signs before I did, became my birth partner and planned godmother. She attended birthing classes with me, practiced breathing exercises, and promised to document every moment of my daughter's arrival. Her own marriage had grown stronger. Watching what I survived, she told me, making her appreciate her honest, faithful husband even more. The nursery in my penthouse was finally complete, a perfect blend of sophistication and whimsy. The crib sat against one wall, the changing table stocked with everything a baby could need. The rocking chair faced the windows overlooking the city lights. where I spent evenings talking to my belly, telling my daughter about the strong women who came before her, the legacy of resilience she would inherit. Standing at those windows now, watching the sun set over Hartford, I felt gratitude for the betrayal that had seemed so devastating a year ago. Without Marcus's infidelity and Emma's treachery, I would still be in that colonial house waiting for someone else to validate my worth, begging for crumbs of attention from people who didn't deserve my loyalty. The baby kicked a strong movement that made me smile. She would arrive in 2 months to a mother who had learned the hardest lessons about trust, self-worth, and resilience. She would never question her value or accept less than complete devotion from anyone in her life. The family I was creating might not look traditional, but it would be built on truth, respect, and unconditional love. Looking at the ultrasound photo magnetized to my refrigerator, I realized this journey had given me everything Marcus and Emma had tried to steal. Purpose, success, motherhood, and most importantly, an unshakable belief in my own strength. The worst betrayal of my life had become the catalyst for my greatest transformation. Sometimes the most painful endings are actually beginnings in disguise. The family we choose and create for ourselves can be infinitely more powerful than the ones we're born or married into. My daughter would grow up knowing that broken trust can be survived, that betrayal doesn't define us, and that a woman alone is never really alone when she knows her own worth. The city lights twinkled below as another day ended, another day closer to meeting my daughter, another day further from the life I thought I wanted. Tomorrow would bring new challenges at work, another prenatal appointment dinner with David if his surgery schedule allowed. But tonight, in the quiet of my penthouse with my hand on my growing belly, I was exactly where I belonged. This little girl would never know the man who couldn't be her father, or the aunt who chose selfishness over sisterhood. Instead, she would know a mother who faced the worst betrayal imaginable and emerged not just intact, but triumphant. She would understand that sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is showing you who they really are, freeing you to become who you were always meant to be. The family we're building might be small, just her and me to start, but it would be mighty in its love and fierce in its loyalty. And that was more than enough. It was everything. Have you ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately led to something better in your life? How did you find the strength to rebuild when everything fell apart? I would love to hear your stories of resilience in the comments below. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of your own strength, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories of women who refuse to let betrayal define their futures. Share this with anyone who needs to remember that sometimes the worst moments of our lives are just preparing us for something infinitely better. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember you are stronger than any betrayal, worthy of complete devotion and capable of building the life you deserve, even if you have to build it alone. May you find the courage to walk away from anyone who doesn't see your worth, and the wisdom to recognize that every ending is just a new beginning waiting to unfold.